Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Beth, and if you're new, welcome. It's nice to be sewing with you today. In a previous video I made a Sunbonnet Sue block to go along with some vintage blocks that I had picked up. So I had 8 blocks. I wanted to make a small quilt, but no more Sunbonnet Sue. I wanted to alternate with a block, a scrappy block, so I made this block here. It's called Beacon Lights, and I'm going to show you how I did it today. Let's get started. Here's my quilt after I put it all together. It's 45 inches square and the blocks are all 11.5 inches. And here's the block I'll be making. I found it in an old quilt block book, and it's called Beacon Lights. It uses half square triangles. It uses just some plain squares and also some hourglass blocks. So here are the squares I'll be using for my half square triangles. And then for my hourglass blocks, I used a variety of prints, and I cut them first in strips, 4.5 inch wide strips. Here they all are, and I'm going to show you how to make each of these blocks, and then we'll put this larger block together. For the hourglass blocks, I cut my squares 4.5 inches, and for the half square triangle blocks, I cut my squares 4 inches. So I'm going to put those details down below, but first what I did is I started by making my half square triangles, and all of the blocks have the same 4 fabrics in the center, and with each of these 4 different squares, I was able to get 2 of the larger quilt blocks made. So to make my half square triangle, I put a muslin piece and a print together, draw a line, diagonal line through the center, and then I sewed on either side of my pencil line, and then I cut this in half. You're getting all of my half square triangles pressed. I trimmed them all to 3¼ inches, and like I said, I need 4 for each of my quilt blocks, and for my quilt I needed 8 quilt blocks. Now I'm going to make my hourglass blocks, and I need 8 hourglass blocks, and I chose to have 2 identical hourglass blocks. I used 2 identical blocks in this larger block, and as you can see, I positioned the colors together, light colors together. In this you can see the orange and the blue little triangles are meeting. So to make an hourglass block, I used a little bit larger squares, 4.5 inch squares, muslin, and a print. And again, I just made half square triangles the same way with the pencil line and 2 seams on either side. I took 2 different prints, 2 half square triangles, and then I put them right sides together, and I made another diagonal line through the center, and sewed them together, and now I have an hourglass block that I will trim to 3 1/4 inches. For each of my Beacon Lights quilt blocks, I needed 8 of these hourglass little quilt blocks, and I was able to get 16 hourglass blocks out of 8 different fabrics. Now it's time to put it all together. I put the half square triangles in the center, I put my white squares in the corners, and then I matched my hourglass blocks. I tried to find the identical blocks and I matched different colors together. In this one there's going to be a blue square sort of on point, and then here I'll have an orange square on point using those triangles that make a square when it's all sewn together. So this will be my quilt block. I'll make 8 and then I'll have enough for this Sunbonnet Sue quilt. This was a fun quilt to put together. Now that it is a small quilt, I'm going to fold it up. I'm not going to be quilting it right away. I like to kind of wait. I don't know who this quilt is going to yet, and I like to wait until I know who I'm giving it to. It might need to be a little bit bigger, and in that case I'll need to make some more blocks, add a border. I'm not sure. But I like storing quilt tops. They take a lot less room than finishing a quilt and then storing finished quilt. So I will fold this up, and it's going to wait for the perfect person to give it to. It's such a pretty quilt. I think it'll be a special person, whether it's a baby or an adult. I'm not sure quite yet, but it's a pretty quilt and I had fun putting it together. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.